Hi, I'm James Lamont, Fellow at the Vadine Center for Rural Economic Development at the University of Minnesota Crookston. Today we will continue our supply chain series and discuss container shipping shortages and how they impact the agricultural industry. Right now, we are amid a perfect storm with respect to shipping containers. For example, on the demand side, we have the highest demand for 20-foot equivalent units ever. Pretty much it's 20% higher than it's ever been in human history, and as a result, we're seeing a massive demand size spike. On the supply side, we have a shortage of containers, not only because of the increased demand, but because of the implications associated with 18 months of shipping challenges that were experienced during the height of the pandemic. All of these factors combined are effectively creating a perfect storm for the shipping industry, but subsequently everybody downstream, whether it's manufacturers, agricultural production facilities, farmers, etc. As you know, commodity producers depend on highly consistent transportation, something very predictable to ensure that their products could move out to port. As imports have increased by 20%, it is actually cheaper for many shippers to send their containers out empty, resulting in problems for access for our producers here in the United States. Overall, the shipping industry is experiencing long-term shortages as well as large-scale equipment shortages to move those containers. The supply and demand imbalances coupled with delays and labor challenges have exacerbated the issue, creating a vicious cycle for the shipping container industry. On top of this, the cost to shippers is extremely high. Many commodities trade in long-term contracts. For example, prior to COVID, there was an agricultural depression for a majority of the commodities produced in the upper Midwest. As a result, farmers were struggling to begin with, but now, during COVID, as they secured additional contracts for the long term, as prices began to improve, they were locked into not only shipping at that rate, but also having to purchase the ability to ship at a higher rate, thereby reducing or making the left side of the ledger much more expensive, whereas the right side of the ledger remained constant. So the cost to ship a 40-foot container from Asia to the West Coast basically peaked in September, just shy of $21,000 per container. So for perspective, in most of 2019, pre-pandemic, the cost was under $2,000. So it 10x'd the price. This particular shipping imbalance is 10x the price for shippers, while they've locked in long-term contracts and they're unable to increase those prices as a result of what's happening in the shipping world. As a result, many companies that people think are doing well because of higher commodities are actually in the red because of this imbalance. Making matters worse, transit times have doubled, thereby creating very angry customers who may not re-up with that particular producer. And today, as I'm providing this brief, major congestion at ports such as Long Beach create miles worth of traffic involving almost 100 shipping container vessels. This has never been seen, and it'll likely take through 2022 to reduce the impact on the agricultural supply chain. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week.